I am very excited to tell you this story tonight, kiddo. I hope you will enjoy listening as much as I enjoy telling it to you. Tonight's story is about a voice that filled rooms, a voice that bent attention, a voice so powerful it followed one man for the rest of his life. His name was Muhammad Ali, and before the world ever called him the greatest, before the poems, before the protests, before the cost, he was just a boy who learned that being heard could be a form of survival. Muhammad Ali was born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. on January 17, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky. His upbringing was shaped by contradiction. His family lived modestly, but his father insisted on dignity. His mother emphasized faith and restraint. Around him, segregation and racial tension were facts of daily life. Louisville taught Ali something early. Visibility mattered. If you were quiet, you were overlooked. If you were loud, you might be seen. The story of how Ali found boxing is often told simply. A bicycle was stolen. A young Cassius reported the theft to a police officer named Joe Martin, who happened to train boxers. When Cassius said he wanted to whoop the thief, Martin suggested he learn how to fight first. That moment changed everything. But what mattered more than the gym was what Cassius discovered inside it. The gym gave him structure. The ring gave him boundaries. And the microphone eventually gave him power. From the beginning, Cassius Clay was different. He talked. He predicted outcomes. He rhymed. He made promises loudly and publicly. This wasn't arrogance at first. It was protection. If he spoke first, others couldn't define him. As an amateur, Cassius Clay rose quickly. His speed was unusual for a heavyweight. His footwork defied expectations. He did not fight like the men before him. He stayed light. He stayed upright. He relied on reflexes rather than brute force. He learned early that his body could do things others could not, and that knowledge gave him confidence. In 1960, Cassius Clay competed in the Rome Olympics. He won the gold medal in the light heavyweight division. He returned home celebrated, confident, and increasingly aware of the contrast between his international acclaim and the racial realities of America. The medal did not shield him. The applause did not follow him everywhere. This tension between public praise and private limitation stayed with him for the rest of his life. Cassius Clay turned professional shortly after the Olympics, and as his record grew, so did his voice. He insulted opponents. He predicted knockouts. He used humor and exaggeration to control attention. Some thought it was an act. It wasn't. It was strategy. Ali understood something intuitively. If he could command the narrative, he could command the moment. And in boxing, a sport built on anticipation, that mattered. When he challenged Sonny Liston for the heavyweight championship in 1964, few believed him. Liston was feared. Clay was dismissed as a loudmouth. But Clay was observant. He saw Liston's age. He saw his stiffness. He saw opportunity. When Clay defeated Liston and became heavyweight champion, the voice that had once been dismissed suddenly demanded attention. And that attention came with a price. Shortly after winning the title, Cassius Clay announced that he had joined the Nation of Islam and would now be known as Muhammad Ali. The announcement shocked the public. The reaction was swift. Support became suspicion. Curiosity became anger. Admiration became resistance. Ali did not retreat. He leaned in. Muhammad Ali believed his voice mattered beyond boxing. He spoke about race, identity, and belief. He refused to soften his message for comfort. And then came the decision that would define the middle of his life. In 1967, Ali refused induction into the United States military during the Vietnam War. He cited religious beliefs and moral opposition. His words were clear. His stance was firm. The consequences were severe. Ali was stripped of his heavyweight title. His boxing license was revoked. He lost years of his physical prime. He lost income. He lost identity. He lost the ring. For a man whose power was built on motion and voice, silence became unavoidable. And in that silence, the cost of being loud began to reveal itself. When Muhammad Ali was stripped of his heavyweight title in 1967, the punishment went far beyond boxing. The ring had been his center. The voice had been his shield. And suddenly, both were taken away. Ali was only 25 years old when his license was revoked. In boxing terms, he was standing at the peak of his physical powers. Speed, reflexes, endurance, all of it intact. But while his body remained ready, The sport moved on without him. For nearly 3.5 years, Ali was barred from professional boxing. Those years mattered. During his exile, Ali traveled the country, speaking at universities and public forums. He spoke about race, religion, and war. He spoke with the same confidence he had used in boxing promotions, but now without the promise of a fight at the end. The applause was mixed. Some saw courage, others saw defiance, many saw a threat. Ali learned that a loud voice invites resistance. Financially, the exile was devastating. Ali had no endorsements, no title defenses, no steady income. The money he had earned earlier drained quickly. He relied on appearances and speaking fees to survive. For the first time, Ali experienced limitation without movement. What made this period especially difficult was the isolation. Boxing had been his language. Without it, he had to confront stillness, something that did not come naturally to him. But Ali endured. In 1970, after years of legal battles, Ali was finally granted a license to fight again. His return bout was against Jerry Quarry. The fight mattered not because of Quarry, but because of what it represented. Ali was back, but he was not the same man who had left. Time away from the ring changes a fighter in subtle ways. Timing dulls. Reflexes soften. Ali still moved well, but the sharpness had faded slightly. He relied more on experience than speed. Still, he won. And more importantly, he reclaimed his place. Ali's return reignited unfinished business, and standing at the center of it was Joe Frazier. Joe held the legitimacy Ali believed was his. Joe represented continuity. Joe represented the years Ali had lost. Their rematch in 1974 was not just about victory, it was about narrative control. Ali won by decision, but the rivalry had deepened. Ali's voice grew sharper again. He reclaimed his public role. He mocked opponents. He entertained crowds. He filled arenas with words before fists ever landed. But the physical cost was rising. Ali began absorbing punishment differently. He relied on his chin more often. He took risks he once avoided. The body was starting to negotiate terms. In 1974, Ali fought George Foreman in Zaire in what became known as the Rumble in the Jungle. This fight marked a turning point. Ali did something new. He surrendered speed for strategy. He leaned against the ropes. He absorbed punishment. He waited. The tactic, later called rope-a-dope, was as psychological as it was physical. Ali exhausted Foreman mentally and physically. When the moment came, Ali struck decisively. He reclaimed the heavyweight championship of the world. But the cost was visible. Ali was champion again, but his style had changed permanently. He no longer danced endlessly. He stood more often. He trusted his durability. Durability is not infinite. With the title reclaimed, Ali defended frequently. He fought often, too often, some would later argue. Each defense added miles to his body. Each round accumulated damage. And waiting ahead was one final reckoning: Joe Frazier. The third fight between Ali and Frazier in 1975, held in Manila, became the point where endurance replaced technique entirely. The heat was extreme. The conditions brutal. Both men suffered. Ali later admitted that the fight pushed him closer to death than any other experience in his life. Joe would never fully recover. Neither would Ali. Ali won, but victory came with consequences that could not be undone. The voice that once filled rooms was beginning to slow. After Manila, Muhammad Ali was never the same fighter. That truth does not diminish his greatness. It explains it. The thriller in Manila took place in conditions that pushed human limits. The heat hovered near unbearable levels. Fighters lost weight rapidly through dehydration. Recovery between rounds was minimal. The fight demanded more than skill. It demanded survival. Ali won the bout, but the price was hidden at first. In the years that followed, subtle changes appeared. Ali's reflexes slowed. His movement grew heavier. He stood still more often. Where he once relied on speed and distance, he now relied on timing and toughness. This was not a conscious choice at first. It was adaptation. Ali continued to fight frequently. He defended his title against a wide range of challengers, some dangerous, some less so. The boxing world rewarded his willingness to compete. Fans filled arenas. Promoters scheduled bouts quickly. Ali said yes more often than he should have. Part of that came from financial pressure. The years of exile had cost him more than time. They had cost him security. Fighting remained his primary source of income, and he felt responsible not only for himself, but for the people around him. Ali believed his body could still deliver, but bodies keep score. By the late 1970s, signs of wear became harder to ignore. Ali's speech occasionally slurred. His coordination wavered. He absorbed punishment he once avoided entirely. Observers noticed. Ali dismissed concerns publicly. Privately, the truth was more complicated. In 1978, Ali lost the heavyweight title to Leon Spinks, a young fighter with limited professional experience. The loss shocked the public. Ali regained the title in a rematch later that year, becoming the first three-time heavyweight champion. But the victory felt different. The celebration was quieter. Ali's style had shifted fully from evasion to endurance. He relied on his chin, his heart, and his will. Those traits carried him further than logic suggested, but they could not protect him forever. Against Larry Holmes in 1980, Ali was visibly diminished. Holmes, a former sparring partner, outclassed him. The fight was stopped before the final round. Those who watched closely understood something painful. Ali should not have been there. The final fight, against Trevor Berbick in 1981, confirmed it. Ali lost by decision. The voice that once commanded rooms now struggled to command his own body. Shortly after, Ali retired, this time for good. In the years that followed, Ali's health declined gradually. Doctors diagnosed him with Parkinson's syndrome, a neurological condition linked in part to repeated head trauma. The diagnosis was devastating. Ali's identity had been built on motion and speech. Both were fading. The man who once spoke endlessly now chose words carefully. The man who once moved effortlessly now moved deliberately. And yet, something remarkable happened. As Ali grew quieter, the world grew gentler toward him. Public anger softened into respect. Criticism faded into admiration. The loudest man in boxing history became a symbol of grace in stillness. Ali appeared at events. He lit the Olympic torch in 1996, his hands shaking, his face calm. The image moved millions. He no longer needed to speak. His presence was enough. Ali's later years were marked by charity work, humanitarian efforts, and quiet reflection. He became an ambassador not through words, but through endurance. The voice that once demanded attention now invited contemplation. Muhammad Ali passed away on June 3, 2016, at the age of 74. By then, the world had learned to listen differently. When Muhammad Ali stopped fighting, the world didn't know how to place him. For decades, he had been motion and sound. He had been prediction and provocation. He had been impossible to ignore. And now, he was quiet. At first, Many people didn't understand what they were seeing. They remembered the poems, the bravado, the sharp tongue. They expected that voice forever. But Ali's body had reached its limit, and his voice followed. Parkinson's disease slowed him gradually. It didn't erase him all at once. It asked him, day by day, to surrender pieces of himself. For a man who had built his identity on control, of language, of rhythm, of attention, this was the final test. Ali met it with patience. He spoke less. He moved carefully. He listened. And in that stillness, the public began to see something they had missed. Muhammad Ali had always been courageous. But now that courage no longer looked like defiance. It looked like presence. He showed up to hospitals. He visited schools. He attended humanitarian events. He shook hands slowly. He smiled gently. The man who once dominated conversations now allowed silence to speak for him. Historians began to reassess Ali's life, not just through championships, but through consequence. They examined the cost of exile, years lost, damage delayed, fights taken too late. They looked honestly at how much punishment his body absorbed after returning to the ring. Ali's greatness did not disappear under scrutiny. It deepened. He had given the sport everything: his speed, his voice, his health. And in doing so, he had changed boxing forever. Ali proved that a heavyweight could move like a lightweight, that a fighter could speak like a poet, that an athlete could challenge authority and survive the backlash. But survival is not the same as escaping cost. Ali's legacy is not clean. It is layered. He inspired millions. He angered many. He endured misunderstanding. He paid physically for years of spectacle. And yet, when the world finally grew quiet enough to listen, Ali remained. When he lit the Olympic torch in 1996, his hands trembled. His steps were slow. But his presence commanded more respect than any speech he had ever given. That moment captured something essential. The loudest voice in sports history had become a symbol of dignity in silence. Ali's death in 2016 marked the end of an era, but not the end of his influence. His words still circulate. His fights are still studied. His choices are still debated. But perhaps his greatest lesson came at the end: that a man does not have to shout forever to matter. So tonight, kiddo, As the rain falls gently outside and the world slows down, remember Muhammad Ali. Remember the young man who spoke loudly so he could be seen. Remember the champion who paid for every word with effort. Remember the elder who taught us that strength can be quiet. Some voices change the world by filling it. Others change it by learning when to stop. Sleep now. The microphone is off. The crowd has gone home. The rain will keep watch until morning. Good night.